Ontario's Special Investigations Unit says there is no basis to proceed with criminal charges against a Peel Regional Police officer. 26-year-old D'Andre Campbell was shot and killed by an officer in his family's Brampton home back in April. Campbell had called 911 himself.
I mean, I'm not surprised. This is what the SIU has come to be known for.
According to the SIU report, when officers arrived at the home on April 6th, they found Campbell holding a kitchen knife. The SIU says Campbell became violent towards two officers who both attempted to subdue him with tasers. After this method was ineffective, an officer drew his firearm and shot Campbell.
It's like, this is a man who had called for a mental health crisis. And again, we see the police responding with lethal force. And again, we see the SIU saying nothing wrong with that.
Campbell, who had called 911 himself that evening, was pronounced dead at the scene. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia at the age of 17. His family says they called 911 on several occasions in the past when he hit a peak. According to the report, the subject officer refused to be interviewed or share his notes. Under the Police Services Act, he can't be legally forced to speak to the SIU.
How do you possibly come up with a decision if you can't even talk to the subject officer?
There's usually enough circumstantial evidence to arrive at a reasonable decision. And I think there was in this case. I mean, there's other witnesses at the scene. There's a forensic evidence of the ballistics and the post-mortem. And if I were sitting in the director's shoes, I probably would have come up with the same conclusion.
Peel Regional Police released a statement in response to the report, which reads in part, "There are gaps in the human services systems that must be addressed, or we will face similar tragic circumstances again in the future," said Chief Duriapa. Those tragic circumstances have been repeatedly seen in the recent past as well. Thousands rallied in Toronto back in May after 29-year-old Regis Korchinski-Paquette fell to her death while police were in her home. 62-year-old Ajaz Chaudhry was shot dead in his Mississauga apartment this past summer while suffering from a mental health crisis. The officer who killed him also refused to speak to the SIU.
Take money away from the police that is going into all of that responding for mental health crises that they are just not equipped to take care of. We need a first response service that's going to be well equipped to deal with these issues. And they exist elsewhere in the world, so I don't know why we couldn't do that here.
We reached out to Campbell's family and they are asking for privacy at this time. Maleeha Sheikh, City News.